Hello there everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I thought we'd do something a little bit different in light of recent events with the whole haunting situation, which if you haven't seen the last video, I'd probably recommend going and seeing that. It will make a lot more sense. I will try to give quick recaps here and there, but it'll be more useful to just have seen that and know the whole story, so I will link that down below. Anyways, because of that, things have still been a little crazy here, and with the bomb cyclone that came through, I ended up missing uploading on Wednesday, and so I'm kind of gonna combine two videos today and see how it rolls out and goes. And also, just as an update, next week I will be going back to my normal posting schedule here on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard. So I've been doing twice a week most of October until, well, the whole haunting fiasco, and so now I'm just gonna go back to my normal schedule. Anyways, just some baseline stuff there. Today I wanted to give a little bit of an update on the table situation, answer some Q&A questions, and go through a lot of the things I've been doing to keep the house protected and purified and safe, and also just prepare for Samhain. I have the Q&A questions loaded up on my phone, so I will just pull them out while I'm working. Today, so far, I have already gone through the whole house and cleansed it with rosemary, or the smoke from rosemary. That's the main herb I've been burning lately to keep the house purified and protected. It is a very classic herb for this, and one that I find to work really well. I'd recommend it to anybody who is in a similar boat to me, or who just is looking for another herb to use in the smoke cleanses. Plus it smells amazing. So I've been doing that as full cleansing through the whole house, and also just throwing a pinch into the fire here and there. And then next I am going to do something that I do often, and you maybe have heard me talk about it before, but I'm going to chamomile the windows. It's a really good way to just add a protective barrier to, oh, and the thresholds, all thresholds, so my doors and windows. But it's a good way to create this barrier that allows good energy to come into your house, but protects it from bad and negative energies. So it's a very simple, easy form of green witchcraft or hearthcraft that I love, and well, that's step one. So let's get that set up and then start getting into some Q&A questions. I recently had to replace my teapot. The old one has a leak in it, but I think this one is pretty cute, and the old one has now been repurposed into a little plant house. That amount should do. Now we just have to let this cool a bit before it's ready for use. What a crazy color it is. Okay, so while this is cooling off, I figured I'd just answer one or two of the questions. Also, apologies, you can probably hear the washing machine in the background. So a lot of the first questions revolve around the table, and so I thought we'd just start there, as that's what's most fresh in everyone's minds, I think. Have you gone back to the antique store to ask if they had a history of the table? It seems you were drawn to it for a reason. So I have gone back, and I went to see if I could either return it to them or find history. I could not return it, so I still have the table. But I was able to find out that they got the table from from Habitat for Humanity. And so the mystery kind of is just going to remain, and it stops there because I don't really have a way to contact them. It's a big organization that has a lot of stuff, and they probably wouldn't know the history of the table anyways. So I don't really know who its previous owners were, because it was still kind of an in-between owner. But like I said, I do still have the table. It is in my possession, and it's not at the house, but we're still figuring out what to do with it. I hope everything is settled down at the cabin now, and that Hazel is okay too. Do you think you will expand your knowledge and practice in light of recent events? So yes, I got a lot of these comments, and this was kind of a wake-up call for me. I have never really delved into spirit work. It's not something I'm interested in, and to some degree I still think I will remain kind of only on the outskirts of it because it isn't really something I want to work with extensively, but it is something I would like to have more knowledge of, but it will never become a main part of my craft. It's not something I'm interested in, and I just prefer working more kitchen, green, hearth, crafty things. I like simple daily magic that allows me to live with intention and just live a magical life. And I personally I believe I will remain that way for sure, but I will gain more knowledge. Not related to the table, but any advice for getting into herbalism? Yeah, I think the best advice that I can give, if for anybody who's either struggling to get into it or just wants to start and see how it feels, is to start with one thing. Pick an herb and learn everything you can about that. A lot of studying herbalism is studying botany and medicinal things like the actions of herbs, and a lot of very sciencey things that can be overwhelming when looked at all at once. And I think while that's very important to have a good baseline with, oftentimes you skip over the fun part of practicing herbalism. So starting off with one plant and getting to know this plant and experimenting with it and working with it allows you to learn the actions and properties and all these other things, while also and having fun and getting your hands dirty a little bit. Okay, still a little bit too hot. Will we ever get to meet your girlfriend? No. No. No, probably not. I would like to protect her privacy. We'll do what we've been doing. She helps me when I need help moving things in a video, and she can give me commentary from afar, but I would like to protect her privacy as a human being. It was my choice to make videos and put myself out on the internet, and with that comes a lot of things that can be great and also not so great, and I don't really want to subject someone else to that, and she doesn't really want that either, so no, I don't really think so. Sorry. Did your girlfriend know you were a witch before you started dating, or is that something you had to address in the relationship? You did before we started dating. You found my page. Yeah, before we started. Yeah, so before we started dating, she did, but I didn't tell her. But that was mainly because I have this stuff and a social media presence, and if you know my first name, it's really easy to find me and to find that I am a witchy individual. You know, the first few times we interacted, she did not know, and it wasn't something I really brought up, but she did to figure it out before we started officially dating. No need for air quotes there. Before we started officially dating. How did you find witchy friends? So I get this question a lot, and I honestly, beyond the few people I've met online, I don't really have witchy friends. I grew up in an area that's pretty rural. There weren't a lot of people that I knew who even had any idea of this stuff, and I didn't have any friends that practiced, and I still to this day don't have any that are close by. But I think finding people online is probably the easiest way to find friends, and just building communities from there. I'd love to know what type of simple spells you like to do best. So I think my favorites that are simple that I do most often and enjoy tend to be more kitchen witchery and herbalism based. So baked goods with herbal intentions, or oils, anything that I can infuse intention into that is also a consumable. Those tend to be my favorites. I think they're really versatile, they're easy to share with others, and they fit into my daily practice and just day-to-day general life really easily. Okay, this one is going to be the last one before we start camomiling the windows. What is your favorite way to get to know your plant allies? So I may have touched on this before, but I can't remember, but I think that this is a good thing in general for any new thing, especially, you know, anything witchy or stuff like that. But I like to start on the new moon with a new plant, delve into the medicinal and magical properties of it while also either drying it or beginning practice with it. Say it's calendula, because that's what I can see and think of right now. I started looking into it. I gathered some up, dried it, and started an oil with it, and throughout the full moon cycle just spent time learning about it. And I find that to be a really beneficial way. It's a good way to make sure you've spent a lot of time but not too much time, and just starting anything on the new moon is really good. It's great for new beginnings and gaining new knowledge. But kind of how I tying into the other question on herbalism stuff, it's just kind of mixing between studying and practical applications. Okay, and with that, let's start chamomiling the windows and answering a few more of these. Okay, so while I work on this window, I'm going to answer a few more. I don't know if it's been asked before. Your studio looks like a jungle. What are your favorite houseplants? So, ferns and pothos. I would say pothos are the best for anybody who doesn't have a lot of light or isn't very good at keeping house plants alive. You can't kill them. But they also are really beautiful. They cascade a lot. They'll grow really quickly, and I think they're what really make it feel like a jungle, because their leaves will just go everywhere. But I think ferns are my favorite. I have a lot of ferns in my life. Here's a fern, here's a fern. And they're really nice magically because they're a protective plant. Tell us about your new tattoos. They look really cool. Any special meaning behind them? So yeah, I can talk about them. I have 2 new ravens. This one's hard to see. This one's much easier on my arms. I got them for a couple reasons, actually. I guess the first reason, growing up, my mom was a painter, she still is, and she always painted birds. And so birds have always just meant a lot to me. They were a big symbol of my youth and childhood and growing up. And well, she never really painted ravens, though she is now. I have always kind of wanted to get a bird tattoo. And what inspired me to get ravens, and 2 of them, was kind of just a nod back to my heritage and what I follow in my practice. 2 ravens are a big part of Norse mythology. As far as the lore goes, Odin has 2 ravens that fly around the world and come back and tell him what they've seen. And ravens are also just a symbol of knowledge and understanding. So I got them to be a symbol of my mom and my childhood, for a nod to my heritage, and then also to hopefully guide me in finding more knowledge and stuff like that in life. Alrighty, so I am going to finish up chamomiling all the rest of the windows and doors around here, and then I have one more thing I want to do today, and I will answer the last 2 questions while I set that up. Alrighty, so in light of recent events, I thought it was time to do something a little bit more traditional and make some doorbells. Kind of. A simple and traditional form of witchcraft calls to make some jingly doorbells to aid in the protection of the house. And you just string a handful together. I think I'm going to do 7 on each, maybe. I might do 9. And it just helps to protect the house, and hang them up on each door. So it's very simple but effective, and that's the last step in my preparations and just keeping the house protected, especially with the veil thinning. And as we have 3 doors in this house, I only really need to make 3 of these charms. But I also thought this was a very fitting way to close out this thing, especially because in the banishing ritual I did with my girlfriend, a bell was a very big part of it. So I found these bells. They're quiet, but I think they'll work. I don't want something too loud on the doors at all times. Let's get into the last questions. How has living in Washington changed your practice? Also, do you do any form of divination, tarot, pendulum, etc.? My practice has changed a couple of times in living here. It kind of has changed depending on where I am, but looking at it as a whole, it doesn't go as dormant as it does when I was living in the East, because the winters here are not so intense. There's a lot of green left over and a lot of life still here. It's a very alive winter, and it's not quiet. I'm used to having very quiet winters, but that doesn't happen here at all. Plus there's a lot of plant life that I can still work with in the winter. It's a lot less than in the other times of the year, but it's not none. So my practice stays just a little more alive. And also living here, I live a lot closer to the water. I mean, well, in this house I'm on the water. So it's just become a little bit more water-based and doesn't go as fast asleep as it did when I was living out east. My girlfriend is helping with one of the sets, so you'll probably see her in a few, or her hands in a few of these shots. Do you favor a certain editing software? I do. I use Premiere Pro. I've talked about it once before, but I talked about it about a year and a half ago when I first started using it. It has become my favorite editing software. I don't think I could ever use anything else. It allows me to do everything I could ever dream of, and I adore it. And that's about it with questions. So I think I can give a few little more updates on the table for those of you interested. Things have been really good here. It's felt a lot better in the house. We haven't brought the table back in. I still am hoping to salvage it, though I am going to get some help with that soon, actually next week. And so that will be exciting and great, and I will talk about that more then. But everything's been fine. Hazel is doing much better. She's not spooked of the corner or the place where the table was. We haven't been having nightmares, and everything just feels normal. So I think what we did worked, and we've just been keeping up with regular cleansings and protection charms like we're doing now, and just making it a safe space again. But all is well with that stuff. All that's left now is to get through the thinning veil, which I think we feel pretty prepared for now. And I do believe I will be trying to salvage the table on the true date of Samhain, when the veil is thinnest. See what comes of that. I'm not sure if it will work out, but it's worth a try, I think. If it doesn't work, I will probably have to get rid of it, but I will be giving it to somebody who knows that it is haunted and spooky, and see if they want to deal with that, because I know there are plenty of people who do enjoy that kind of stuff, and are maybe a little more adept at it than I am. Very nice. But anyways, I think we're gonna sit here, finish up making these bells. I'll show you the final product, and yeah, so see you in a second. Alrighty, so with that done, that's about it for this video. Done with the Q&A questions, and have done all of my protections and cleansings for today. So I will probably, hopefully, be sharing more about what I'm doing for Samhain on my vlog channel if you're interested. So I will link that up above or at the end and down below. And as always, I know it's not for everyone, but if you can, I'd really appreciate it if you checked out my Patreon. There I share my art, herbalism, other fun things, and it's really what keeps things running over here. I am really grateful for all the support that you all give, and you do have question priority for Q&As such as these. So thank you for all of you there, and thank you for everyone for bearing with me during this crazy time of trying to figure things out. Like I said at the beginning, I think I will be getting back on track this month, next month to follow, next week to follow, back to posting once a week here on Wednesdays. Things will be back to normal, hopefully. Unless anything goes crazy, but I feel pretty confident that it'll be good. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I will see you soon.